Welcome back to Right on the Money, the go-to resource for your financial decisions. Now, if you're just joining us, our guest today, Roy Carlson, president of Carlson Financial out of Raleigh, North Carolina. And we've talked a lot about, financial aspects. So we've talked about stewardship and ownership, the difference there. We've talked about really aligning our faith in money. Talk to me about how taxes come into the whole scheme of things here.
Sure. So my wife's professional background was actually, she was a Big Six accountant, and she was an auditor, and then she did tax accounting. And when she joined the practice, what I noticed was, as an accountant, they did a great job of keeping up with the ever-changing laws and filing properly. But they didn't do a lot in terms of saying, well, what do we want to do between now and the next 5 years, and now over our entire lifespan, to overall lower our tax burden? So we saw a huge need there.
So really, I guess to paraphrase that, on one hand, you have tax professionals that do an amazing job of interpreting what's happening, but they're reactionary, whereas Carlson Financial, you're looking ahead and doing some more planning.
So we're going to look to do tax diversification, where we look at how you've invested on a pre-tax basis, which has advantages and disadvantages, how you invest on a after-tax basis and what's good, bad, and ugly about that, and also looking at tax-advantaged investments, so that as our clients approach retirement, they've got a number of different places from a tax perspective that they can take resources from.
Now, with the way that your practice operates from the spiritual side, how does that all tie together? What lessons can we pull from the Bible, and how do we work there?
Well, we know that Scripture tells us to pay to Caesar what's Caesar's, but not a dollar more. But as Christians, we have some unique opportunities because our giving is done on a pre-tax basis, just as part of our income. But also, as we accumulate wealth, we have opportunities to use our giving to give us tax advantages that others may not have an opportunity to do.
Now, are we only talking income taxes here, or payroll, or Social Security? Are we talking across the board?
Yes, we're talking across the board, how it impacts each area, ultimately trying to have you have as much of what you've worked so hard to accumulate to be able to spend.
Now, with this kind of planning, though, isn't that what we use an accountant for? How does it all work together?
Sure. And again, an accountant is going to see how you can take the maximum deductions in a given year, but what we're really looking at is how you're able to have all of the options available in terms of taxability as tax laws change throughout your lifetime.
Oh, and they definitely always are changing.
They do.
So just to sum it up then, when it comes to working with you and your team, it sounds like you handle every aspect. We
are a comprehensive financial planning outfit company.
Tell me a little bit about the process of working with you and your team. So say we had an appointment and I come in, how do we start? How does this work?
Well, we like to say that the first thing we need to do is see our client's underwear drawer. To be useful for our clients, we need to know as much as we can about both the mechanical, so what do they have, but also what matters to them. How do their values intersect with the different priorities they have in a financial life?
That's one thing that I really appreciate about you and your practice is I've talked to hundreds of advisors, and on one hand they'll take a look at who you are, where you are, but you're taking it two steps further and taking a look at who the person is, what's important, but then also the spiritual aspect. That's so important.
Yeah, it's important for us that our clients are given a platform so they can hear, "Well done, good and faithful steward," so that they know in their heart of hearts that what they're doing in their financial life is reflective of what really matters to them.
It's got to be almost a comforting feeling of everything in line.
And it's very rewarding for us too, because we see where people have their financial life really match up with what matters to them.
Now, we're going to break right now, but what we're going to do after the break, we're going to get to know Roy a little bit better. I've got some fun questions for you. We haven't rehearsed these or talked about them, so they'll be a little bit of a surprise. But we've got more coming up with Roy after the break, and that's coming up on Right on the Money.